will not be a meeting between the holidays. Sheriff Linden.
Good morning. Shop at the Cop happened this past weekend. Even with the weather, we went forward with that. It went extremely well. Still had a really good turnout. Everybody got to hang out and get their shopping done, and we did it safely, so it worked out really well. Other than that, we're extremely busy on the law enforcement side. Nothing of major note for the board. The jail this morning was at 79. I have to reduce the numbers that are in at the that treatment facility. So we're at 79 adults this morning, and then we have 12 adults out of county and 2 juveniles.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Brandon, how's the IT department?
Let's keep busy with budget and projects and bigger work.
Okay, thank you. Krista, how's the public health?
Good morning. We're also keeping busy. We continue to have our Tuesday immunization clinics, and they are steadily busy. We are also in the process of doing a countywide drill with emergency management, the hospital, as well as the nursing facilities. And what we do is what the scenario is that there's a flu outbreak, who needs PPE, that kind of a thing. That gives them an opportunity to practice their drills and their point of distribution pod plans. So we started that today. It'll continue on until tomorrow. But again, this is only a drill, and we just do that for practice. So we're ready in case there's ever an event of an emergency.
Okay, thank you. Jared, how's the regional planning going?
We're keeping busy as usual. We got one agenda item on here today, and another minor subdivision just went out for review, and probably have another one shortly. Probably something that comes to you here early in the new year. So apart from that, nothing else to report.
Okay, thank you. Chris Lee, conservation.
Good morning. We have our Ugly Sweater 5K on Saturday. If you want to come out and run in the slot, that'll be fun. Out on the trail to Stars Cave. Bring your ugliest sweater, and it'll be uglier by the time you're done, probably. And then budget stuff. We've got a work session with the Conservation Board on Thursday. Over budget and strategic plan. And I think that's got it.
Okay, thank you. Rodney Gleason, maintenance.
Good morning. Just really busy. Had another weekend with snow, so when we all came in on Saturday and got a lot cleared off, so I want to thank the guys for a long Saturday, but they did a really nice job getting everything cleared off for everybody, so I really appreciate their hard work. We got a work session scheduled for later on, and also just busy trying to work in the budget in between things. So lots going on.
Thank you. Angie, safety department.
Good morning. Just keeping busy, working on budget, got some other things going on, but nothing really new to report.
Okay, thank you. Who said that? Angie, I can't see. Brooke. Oh, Brooke.
I'm back here.
I couldn't see it no matter what way.
That's
Bob
okay.
Hessler's blocking it.
Good morning. We're just keeping busy. Nothing new to really report.
Okay, thank you.
Jim, you got Shannon and Natalie back here. Hi.
Stanley, how's the recorder's office?
Good morning. Everything's well in the recorder's office. We're just keeping busy with ATV renewals. So just another reminder that ATV and snowmobiles do expire December 31st. So you'll want to get those renewed to be out on the roads. Also, I did attend the 5th district meeting in Brighton on Friday. Of course, House File 718 was the main subject. That's the tax reform bill. And it sounds like it was agreed that it doesn't fit all sizes, and counties are just gonna have to make it work. So we'll see what's new with that for next year, but otherwise that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Shannon?
Good morning.
Emergency management.
I have an agenda item. I wanted to touch on, obviously the weather hasn't been great, so anytime that the temperature falls below zero, the real feel of zero, Transition CMC will open as a warming center for folks to get out of the cold. And anytime the library is open, they also are available as a warming place for folks to go, charge their phones, whatever it may be. And then I was gonna touch on not only the countywide drill that we're doing with Krista, but we are also beginning the beginning stages of planning an additional countywide drill, full-scale exercise for our first responders. So just been really busy with budget and lots of things going on, but
Okay. Thank you. Brian Carter, Secondary Roads.
Good morning. I'd like to say thanks to our guys. I mean, it's our job to do it, but I think it quit snowing maybe 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock on Saturday, and I think before they went home, I think we had every paved road at least drivable. And we came back out Sunday and took care of those and cleaned them up even further. And I think by the end of Sunday, we had every gravel road at least hit wide enough you could get down it without any problems. Maybe not wide enough you were gonna meet 2-lane traffic, but for a storm that I think dropped a lot more snow than the 2 to 4 that was the original forecast, I think probably all things considered, the guys did a really nice job in getting things done in a timely manner. And yep, safe, so everybody went home fine. So other than that, plenty of stuff going on, and I do have an agenda item, and we're filling back up on mix, and looks like mild weather all the way, all the way through Christmas. I would mention they do have some rain in the forecast on Thursday. It's gonna be warm. They're not talking freezing rain, but if you live on a gravel road, pay attention, because it can freeze right now on a gravel road because of the frost in the ground. So just pay real close attention to that morning if that's what we get, because even though it's not forecast as freezing rain, the conditions you have might not be particularly great. So hopefully that's not the case, but it is a possibility.
Thank you. I don't think I missed anybody. Okay. We shall move on to discussion and vote. First, we have accounts payable claims in the amount of $621,057.22.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Cheryl?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. Okay, now we have funding request for Geode State Park. Who would that be?
Good morning. I'm Ron Helling. I'm currently Vice President of the Friends of Geode. We appreciate you guys taking a few minutes to visit with us about something that's near and dear to our hearts. And have Bob Hessler, who's a longtime member of the Friends of Geode, and then our current president, John Fullenkamp, who wants to share some information with you.
I guess I would start by asking, did you all receive and have a chance to look at the synopsis that I sent to you with photos? So as you can see, that building was in horrendous shape because it had been abandoned since 1991. The state sent an engineer down in 2016 because they had thought maybe it could be reopened because of the interest in the state parks of the use of renting watercraft out and having a place for camping supplies, fishing supplies, prepackaged foods, things like that. The state engineer came back and said to bring that building up to code, it was going to cost $160,000 just for the building. That's when the Friends of Geode stepped in, and they were going to tear it down. And we said we would like to take on that project if the state would allow us to, and they did. Obviously, it didn't cost $160,000. We aren't done with the building yet, but we are very close. And we have enough of the funds to finish the building, but we have a lot of other funds needed for finishing up, to finish up to purchase the watercraft and purchased the freezers, coolers necessary for the prepackaged food, beverages, purchased the camping supplies and fishing supplies that we would be selling. And in addition, in the past, there was vandalism. The vandals had broke out all the windows, and we just spent about $5,500 to put all new window units in there, 4 new window units. And so, I don't know if you've been out to Geode on the beach house, they have those metal protectors that come down to keep people out of the kitchen area of the beach house. We're planning on putting those same things over the windows when it's not open so that people don't break windows. Those window units are quite expensive. There's still a lot of other things to be done, but we like I said, we have enough to finish the building, but it's going to cost about $75,000 to go the rest of the way to open it up. Next year is the 75th anniversary of Geode State Park, and our goal is to try to open the concession building next year on the 75th anniversary. And so we are asking if you would consider at least a one-time offer or funding of $20,000. I guess I would open it up for any questions.
Yeah, most of that state park is on, in Henry County. Have you been to the Henry County Board?
I'm planning on going there. I have already talked to them.
I commend you guys for all you've done.
Yeah.
I truly do. Moines County doesn't typically make donations, but if we did, it would be possible. The only way it'd be possible is to give you money through the general basic fund. And it's kind of ironic that the state can't fund its own state park. And as the recorder said a little ago, she was talking about House File 718. That recently changed the rules and put a revenue cap on general basic. General basic pays for everything. It pays all the salaries, it pays virtually all expenses. And we have a cap on it, a smaller cap. They lowered it again this year. I'm sympathetic with you, but I'm not comfortable with taking anything out of that fund that we aren't required to take out. That's the fund we wrestle with to stay solvent.
In my report that I sent to you, I gave you an example of when we met with the DNR down there, and they were quite excited the fact that we were moving forward with this and bringing it hopefully to a fruition. And they said the water lines that used to run down there are collapsed, so we have to put a new water line in down there, and they said that they would take care of it. Well, after another round of budget cuts, the DNR came back and said they can't do it, we're going to have to do it. And we've heard that same song and dance several times now. It's disappointing because we're going forward with the knowledge based on what they said that we're going to have some help. And it just really hasn't come. So for us to finish this project, we have to go outside, and certainly we are soliciting private donations and have gotten those. But we need help to finish it.
I get that. I guess where we sit is that if we wanted to increase taxes a couple of cents to fund that, we can't do that because there's a levy cap on general basic. If we wanted to divert that money, we would have to take it from somewhere else. I'm looking at the sheriff, and I'm pretty sure it's not gonna be there for IT, or anyway, and I'm sympathetic, and I'm proud of you, you've done a great job out there. I looked at the pictures, I read that PDF you sent with with all you've done there and the costs. You've done an incredible job.
Yeah, to do that much work, with only spending 26,000 some dollars, it has been, but it's been a lot of our own labor. I spend a lot of time out there, and we've donated material, and we've had a lot of other people in the area donate material, and that's why we've been able to be so frugal, and we want to continue being frugal, but we want to get it open, and we want people. There's so many people that come out there. So many people keep asking when we can start renting the watercraft. That's the big thing. It is a draw for the Tri-County area. It is an asset, and we want it to be even more of an asset. So I guess.
And I don't know, I'm being as honest, not pleasantly honest, but that's where we are. And I would not vote for that. I could not vote for that. I would not be comfortable voting for that.
Okay, is that your final, I guess, decision then?
Well, I don't make the decision, the board makes the decision, so,
Let's put it this way, I agree with Tom, I know where we're strapped at, trying to keep this levy down, and, it's been tough on this Senate File 718, it's really been tough on the counties. And it is what it is, and you did a good job out there so far. Hopefully, I hope you find the funding someplace for it.
Okay, thank you.
good luck.
How about you, Shane?
I don't know where the money would come from. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, we have, resolution 2025-60 for Mediapolis Road speed limit sign. Do you want to address that, Mr. Carter?
Yeah, and I don't think this is anything new, I brought it up. The signs are not here yet, so they're not going up immediately. But this is the speed limit I've been talking about. It's really relating to the fact that we now have a new interchange on Mediapolis Road. So I've been working with Mediapolis to come up with a speed limit approach to just manage that location. So what this essentially does, if you've been through that interchange area at all, you'll know there's a couple 45 speed limit signs up in the area. The DOT put those up there. There's no legality behind them at all. So the one to the west of the interchange will actually move a little bit closer to the interchange, which we will do ourselves. And then as you go into Mediapolis, there'll be another sign that warns you that the speed limit's slowing down to 25. And then when you get relatively close to the flower barn or Sprouts or whatever you want to call it, the truck stop, that area, there'll be a 25 mile per hour right there. Of course, that's in the city limits. And as you come back down towards the interchange, same thing. It'll be 25 to that location. It'll jump to 45 for traffic going to the interchange. And then once you get past the interchange, you'll go to 55. So I think it's a good solution for the change that we've had there. And so I would recommend approval, and then whenever we get signs and the site conditions and the weather allow, we'll go ahead and install signs. We are installing Mediapolis' signs for them. They are reimbursing us for all the materials. Last thing I wanted was signs going up and being moved at different times and just creating a headache for law enforcement to know what they can and can't enforce. So we just, we'll do that when we're there, and they'll pay us for the materials, and that'll work out fine also. So I'd recommend approval, and we'll move forward when we have the material. Probably be after Christmas if I had to guess.
Well, I've been going over and seeing the grandkids. They live over in Mediapolis, and that four-way stop they put up there, is a blessing.
Yeah, you have to be careful there. People are still adjusting, so you still better look both ways because I've had family members already witness. Well, heck, I had a family member run through it, so she told on herself. But so people are still adjusting, but it does seem to be improving. So I'll be curious to see what city council does for that. But and that was, for the record, since you brought that up, that four-way stop was the DOT. I mean, that's still a state road, and then of course they worked, I was aware of it, I was part of the coordination, but really they worked with Mediapolis on that, and Mediapolis requested that. That's all part of a policy, so Mediapolis now has the flexibility as they look forward to how they want to, if they want changes done, that four-way stop was required first.
Motion to approve the resolution for the Minneapolis road speed limit.
Second.
Cheryl?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Get my copies to. You guys want to see what it says or anything? There's a copy of it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now we have, resolution 2025-61, the final plat of the J&N Homestead subdivision. This would be you, Jared.
This is a one-lot minor subdivision adjacent to Sperry on the south side of Locust Street. So it's about 1.3 acres of land being split off from a 150-acre farm property immediately south of Sperry. It's about a block wide between 2nd and 3rd Streets, and it's intended for a family member of the subdivider to build a home on that site. And there's already a home on the property to the west, and the current owner will retain a 40-foot strip in between this lot and the commercial property to the east for preserving an existing field entrance. In terms of the review process, pretty straightforward here. The usual condition we've included that they would, if a home is to be built on the lot, they would need to get a septic permit beforehand and then have that installed prior to occupying the house. And then secondary roads, it sounds like the owner is not clear on exactly where the entrance will be, but likely on the east side. Secondary roads had indicated that they would obviously need to get a permit for an entrance prior to installing that, which they've been informed of that. So with that, we would recommend approval with the condition about the septic.
I move to approve.
Second.
Cheryl?
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah. Jared, again, thank you for sending that out, so we got time to review all that. Big help, buddy. We'll sign the rest of these there. Okay, Jared.
Good. Yep, that's what I do.
Okay, next, we have the resolutions 2025-62 adopting the Des Moines County Multi-Jurisdiction Pre-Disaster Mitigation Plan. Shannon, that would be emergency management.
Yes. So for approximately the last year, we've been working with Southeast Iowa Regional Planning to update this plan. This plan is something that we actually currently have, but it's a requirement to stay compliant, to update the plan every 5 years. This plan allows us to be eligible for federal grant money in the county. We work with our local municipalities as well as the school districts, the levy district, DESCOM, et cetera, to identify hazards within their communities, within their jurisdictions. And it allows us to identify what we could do across Des Moines County to mitigate those hazards. So all that we're asking for is you've reviewed it. It's available for public view on my website. And we just need the board approval before we can send it off to FEMA for final approval.
Motion to approve the resolution and adopt the pre-disaster mitigation plan.
Second.
Cheryl?
Tom Burke,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you.
Moving on for personnel actions. We have, one for local health, and it's Julie Metzler.
Melcher,
Huh?
it's Melcher.
Can't pronounce
Sorry.
it right, okay. Thank you. 4.6 hours unpaid on 12/5/2025.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Cheryl?
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah. Now we're going for the treasurer's office. This is for Alana Caps. It's, unpaid time, 1.73 hours on 12/3/2025.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Cheryl?
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. Now we have 3 of them for the correctional center. We'll do all 3 of these at once. First one, we have, Cody Reynolds. It's, anniversary, 60-month step increase, $64,361.04 to a new rate of $66,452.78. And the next one is, Dominic Foster, full-time correctional officer. Anniversary, 24-month step increase from $53,827.05 to $54,886.03. And the next one is, how do you pronounce that?
I'm not sure which one it is.
Patrick
Ogrzalik.
Ozolic, okay. Ozolic, Patrick Ozolic. Correctional officer, part-time, hire, $22.33 an hour.
Motion to approve all 3.
Second.
Cheryl?
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah. Now we have reports. We have the clerk's report for fees collected on November 2025. These reports will be in the auditor's office for reviewing at your own discretion. then we have the minutes for the regular meeting on December the 9th, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Cheryl?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. Is there any other business?
I have none.
I have none. Future agenda items?
I have none.
None. Committee reports? I had none.
I have none.
Patrick, neither did I.
Okay. Public comment. Anybody from the public that's online there that wants to call in, we'll give you a couple minutes to speak. The number is 319-753-8203, extension 4, or email board@dmcounty.com. Meanwhile, anybody in the audience, we'll give 2 minutes. Yes, state your name.
Yeah, it's Tim Scott, and I've been on a mission for the last 5 years to get a project done, and we've run into some stumbling blocks. I had it all funded, had a location for it, and was about to move on it, and then found out that the location was no longer available. The funding that we had was location specific. The funding really isn't an issue anymore, it's a location. And what I'm talking about is the Statue of Liberty that the city was given in 1950 by the Boy Scouts of America, the local Boy Scouts of America. And in 2001, that was her condition when we rediscovered her out at the park on the base that she had. In 2002, after an effort by Jeff Heelan and myself, that's what she ended up looking like. And since then, she's weathered, and she has spires on her around her head that have fallen off. And we just need to get some of the new spires made and replaced. And it wasn't vandalized this time. It was if a bird landed on those spires, they fell off. I mean, they're not attached, they're not soldered or anything else. My goal was to get her back to the second picture that you see here, and but I don't think that's necessary because I've been around to a lot of other communities and seen where these are at. There was over 300 originally. I think there's 178 right now that have been identified and are still in place, and the majority of those are in front of county courthouses. And what my request is, because we only have 2 minutes, is would you be willing to allow the Statue of Liberty to be placed on a base that would be constructed by a mason and placed in front of the courthouse? And I don't expect you to answer today, but if you would put it on a work session agenda item to discuss, I'd surely appreciate it, and I'd be more than happy to come back and give you more details at that time. But something for your consideration. Like I said, it's been a 5-year mission, and we've stumbled and stumbled and stumbled. We had a perfect spot on the riverfront for her, a perfect base. And one day I'm driving down there, and I found out that the goal of the riverfront improvements was first to remove the Statue of Liberty. And when I drove by, I noticed that when the backhoe was tearing it down, so tearing the base down, they had pulled the statue out to preserve it and covered it and took it out to the public works facility. But again, I can give you more details on it, and then if you would be so kind as to put it on a work session for discussion.
Thanks, Tim. I'd like to have a work session on that. We used to have, didn't we have the chief out here for a while? Chief Blackhawk?
Yeah.
Can't remember Rodney's not here, so.
I don't remember what's in front of my house. I don't know.
It was all around for years.
Oh, Rodney's coming around the door, guys.
Rodney, did we used to have a statue out here of the Indian, the chief?
Not a statue that I know of, but there is off the side here, on the north side, there's like a half moon type thing with cheap Blackhawk on the side on
I
it.
think that when they put the Kingwood building up, that's what they wanted that.
I'm assuming so, yeah. It predates me, but yeah, it's been there for quite some time.
Yeah, Tim, thanks. We'll have a work session on that. I think that's something to talk about.
All right, appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Meanwhile, anybody else in the audience have anything? Yes.
Terry Davis, I'm a member of the Des Moines County Conservation Board. I've read this last section of the ordinance concerning wildlife, and in my opinion, it's insufficient to protect wildlife. Everything in here, to me, is after the fact. So I know that the board was not happy when the Conservation Board submitted recommendations for setbacks. They were rejected, and I'm gonna let you know that I'm gonna bring that up again in our board meeting next month to resubmit setbacks for conservation for wildlife. And if I don't do that, I'm not doing my job as a conservation member and as a citizen. Because in my opinion, everything in here is after the fact. So I want to let you know that I'm gonna do that, and I don't want anybody to be upset at Chris, because I'm the one doing it.
Okay. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes.
Chase Clay, New London's my address, actually rural Pleasant Grove. With AES coming in and you guys are worried about property rights, nobody is promised a turbine on their property. So you're not really hurting property rights, as I feel you're hurting it more for the people that are asking to have the setbacks pushed back further. Just because they got their permits to be able to place that turbine on a property doesn't mean it's gonna go there, because the landowners themselves could sign up and say, no turbine, no structure. I know this because I was in a meeting with AES, and they approached us. After they approached my grandmother and said no, they had somebody come headhunt me to persuade her to do something different. I've talked to you, Tom, personally on this subject on the phone. You were the only one that got back a hold of me, so thank you for doing that. I would also suggest that you extend the moratorium to find more in-depth detail of how everything really works together on this, because there's more than just property rights. So when we start talking about personal rights and department rights, as they have done their fair share. I really think as a county and as a board, it would be in your best interest to really look more into depth of this and take the time and research it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name is Joshua Aaron Quam. I'm a small business owner. I own a welding business, and I also help on a farm. I'm a husband and a new father to a 3-month-old baby. My wife and I got married in August of 2023, and in June of 2024, we purchased 3 acres here, mainly because we believe in the area and we want to build our future in it. I've put tons of hours of labor into this property, and in June of 2025, I paid to have it bulldozed so we could prepare it for a home. We plan to save and build within the next 3 to 4 years a modest home, nothing crazy, just a place to settle down and raise our child. I didn't buy this land to speculate or flip it. I bought it to raise my family. Now I'm surrounded by easements, and without a home there yet, we could have a turbine 715 feet away, east and west of my property line. This is not about being anti-turbines. This is about local families being protected and not sacrificed. So I want to ask you, what am I supposed to do now?
That's a good question.
What am I supposed to do now? 28 years old. Got a family. 3 acres. That's all I invested in. Thanks.
I will say your new 3-month-old child's the youngest person that's ever attended the board since I've been on the board. She didn't bother anybody but you. Nobody else complained. Anybody else? Yes.
Rose Fisher. Members of the board have commented numerous times that property line setbacks at 1.1x is based on precedent. Members have also referenced industry standards and best practices, which were set years ago by the wind companies themselves. Even though turbine heights have increased dramatically over the last 30 years, the outdated standards and practices have not changed because they benefit the wind companies. A couple of years ago, counties across Iowa took notice. Counties favorable to wind development and who had previously allowed 300 to 400 foot tall turbines said, hey, wait a minute, when developers began to propose 650 foot tall turbines. Shane voiced his concern about this very thing at the last work session. You say you've looked at other counties. As a reminder, 42 counties, including ours, changed their ordinances in the last 2 years. Many counties recognized their ordinances would allow these new massive turbines to be placed dangerously close to homes and properties. They recognized increased setbacks were needed for safety and to address noise and shadow flicker. The current draft ordinance places us 40th out of 42 for safety and setback distance. While other counties made significant changes to their setbacks, you have increased ours by only 150 feet, leaving Des Moines County at the bottom. Only Winneshiek and Buena Vista counties are worse. Instead of following the industry standards set by the wind companies, why not follow the real-life data of counties who set their own standards? There are valid concerns about how 650-foot tall turbines will affect our health and safety. We oppose an ordinance with a setback that will allow debris and ice throw onto our properties and force us to endure the noise and shadow flicker from a neighbor's massive turbine. As we move to the work session today, consider our safety and property rights and increase the setback from the property line. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Go ahead.
Cindy Newberry. It's my understanding that landowners could stipulate no structures and give easement only for electric lines and road easements. I was also told that AES said they could not guarantee a turbine would be placed on the property as they did not know how many parcels would sign up or where they would be located. Like I said, in many cases, it's just looking at a map, it's obvious that some of the parcels that have signed up will not get a turbine because of their close proximity to a cemetery, church, or other dwelling, but they still get paid for electric line or road easement. These leases include a clause that says these people can never complain about anything, now or later, known or unknown. So basically, the lease payment buys their silence. A greater setback distance may affect a nearby lease is not taking away anyone's property rights. Those landowners will still be paid for the use of their land and their silence. There's no data available to show how a 650-foot tall turbine will affect the health and safety of nearby residents. Landowners who sign leases may or may not get a turbine on their property. If they do, they should be set back at least 3 times from a property line. And just for a side note, this will affect this little 3-month-old baby's grandchildren. Think about that. That's crazy. Thank you.
Good morning, Don Rolls, Des Moines County. Similar to Rose, I didn't hear all of hers, but since the start of the wind turbine project, there's been continuous discussion around the setback distances from homes and property. As you've heard many times, the precedent's already been set by the wind turbine manufacturer, who require their employees to retreat a safe distance of 3,280 feet during a thunderstorm. There have been many comments dismissing the safety distance because of the number of experimental turbines in the Mechanicsville disaster in 2012. When you research with Google AI, 3280 is referenced in the wind turbine manufacturer Nordex safety manual, and it has been used in court cases to defend the setback. The Nordex safety manual has been used in court cases, and their safety manual is continually referenced for the Nordex 4000 series, which was introduced in 2017, which was 5 years after the Mechanicsville disaster. This information in their safety manual has been used to establish safe setback distances across Iowa as other counties have written and amended their wind ordinances. And I believe there are safety manuals for the installer AES, but we haven't seen anything from AES yet. And we've asked for that data several times and it's never been supplied to us. Per the ordinance, AES would not have to supply the information until after final approval. Why? 3280 is legitimate. And this distance has been used in safety manuals since 2017. Why they weren't even referencing 650-foot turbines in 2017. So, and most of you know, safety manuals, you know, they're written in blood, sweat, tears, and a history of facts. Preliminary approval of a wind ordinance would be negligent without having all the proper information and facts. And that's all we're asking for, is just be concerned with the safety of our county. Thank you.
Terry Davis, I have one other thing. Last time I was here, you asked me to report on Brian Carter's job. And I didn't forget. He did a good job, and that crew should be commended.
Well, thank you.
I did remember. I did remember to do that.
Hear that,
He's
Mr.
probably
Carter?
gone now.
Thanks, Larry.
He's back there patting himself on the back. I
Back there,
can't
pat
even
myself on the
reach my back.
back.
Okay.
Hey, Brad Coates, Pleasant Grove. I spoke last week on Osceola County, the 4.27. And during the work session, Tom, you commented it was a 2-foot chunk of fiberglass that kind of blew with the wind and kind of like a piece of cardboard and really couldn't cause any damage or hurt anybody. But and I disagree with you. But I think that's really not the point of the whole thing. I mean, the question is, you know, there's thousands of pieces of debris out there, and so the question is at what point does size really start to make a difference? You look at that same report, not in Facebook, not some Facebook post, but the guy sent us. You look at that same report. It wasn't 2 foot. There was a 5-foot chunk at 4x. There was a 6-foot chunk at 2x. There was a 10-foot chunk at 1x. There was an 18-foot chunk at 1x. Our ordinance is 1.1x from a property line. So we can argue about a 2-foot piece blowing around. There's big chunks that are blowing good distances. It's not just that piece, and there's pieces everywhere. So again, you're buying a piece of property, you want to build a house, and that's going to land in your yard, 18-foot chunk of fiberglass or wing, or you have land and pasture, and you have your horses out there, or your cows or sheep, and that's landing in your pasture. You know, we've had a farmer in here a couple of times talking about that. What happens with my livestock and my pastures? And it's the same with thunderstorms. You know, we bring up thunderstorms and lightning, and we're told, well, nobody's standing outside during a thunderstorm. Go in your house. Well, we can't bring our livestock into our house. What protects them? So my point is, counties have put setbacks in place for ag buildings and agriculture. I mean, an example is Montgomery County. In St. Ernst County, there's a 6x setback and 3,200 feet from barns and sheds. And so, I guess, Jim, you're chairman, I'd ask you, I mean, there's a work session coming up. Is there any way we can speak about a setback to agriculture and look at that, along with all these other setbacks that we're doing?
We're gonna have questions afterwards, after the work session, if you're there.
Okay, great.
The work session or the public hearing?
Yeah.
Jim,
What's that?
are you talking about the work session or the public hearing
The work session.
today?
We have a public hearing there.
No, or the public hearing where everybody gets this, whatever.
I guess my question is there can there be consideration for that into, and we can discuss it whenever that would be, Tom, if that's a public session or whatever, and that's all fine. But these setbacks need to consider our livestock, and I think as we talk about that needs to be considered. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Seeing nobody else with an eyebrow here. Whoops.
Randy Hollingsworth, and I go along with these guys on the setbacks. They've already pretty much said everything that needs to be heard. But we sat through the work session last week after they give all the same information. And it's like it fell on deaf ears. Everything was put in there. It's like the AES is writing our ordinance for the people of Des Moines County. That is not right. This young man that's building a house. So if he don't get his house built in time, they can put up what,
715 feet away from the
seven
mark.
hundred 15 feet away from his house.
East,
That's
west.
limited, the rest of us as property owners, you know, if somebody's got a 20 acre, 40 acre, 80 acre, whatever chunk of ground and family, or somebody wants to build somewhere on that acreage, to me, the setbacks for a dwelling should be no different than a property line. I don't care whether it's agriculture, what it is, any property line, them people, the property owners, should be respected and taken into consideration too. And that's, I guess that's a big question. Who's writing this ordinance? But when I sat here last week and heard amendments and everything, nothing went in favor of the people of the county. It shouldn't go in the favor of the Lynn Company. I don't understand why it is. And Shane, I thank you for listening, and offering the 550, which to me is still too much for a height. I don't know what, I haven't done all my homework to see what the other counties are, but I know some are 300-400 foot. 650 foot, it might not have experimental parts in that wind turbine, but that's experimental if you put up a bunch of 650 foot turbines, and the tallest one in the country besides that is 653 foot, right? So this whole thing's experimental. Ice blowing off the blades, right? There's just so much. That's my thing on the setbacks. And another thing I want to bring up, I'd like to see put into the ordinance, that they start pile driving all around me, and I read up where it can disturb a well. We've been on a well on this family farm, has run off a well for 115 years. Well, they start pile driving all around me, not only can it affect the water flow in our well, but it also affect the quality of the water by knocking particles loose down underground that gets into my water. So I would like to see something put in the ordinance. If that happens, who's gonna cover if I get real water? I mean, that's something that, as a property owner, I should be protected. I didn't sign up for these, so I'd like to see that put in ordinance.
We had Board of Health had an engineer that dealt with this stuff. And you remember what he said, that there's no data that wind turbine even affects a well. And if it says it does, then there's data over here that says it don't. So there's no specific scientific reason that it does.
So if they start pile driving, all of a sudden my well goes bad, it just like the draw after 100 years.
So anyway, I just want to bring that to you, because that was,
Right.
Krista had him there, so.
I have a question about that. Is that after the turbine is up, or is it during construction? Because it sounds like he's talking about during construction. Wouldn't there be a difference?
I've read both ways.
Yeah.
Construction.
No, I'm just going with what the engineer said. There's no scientific data that whether it bothers it at all. So really, I'm just going by that.
If you damage private property with the construction procedure, your general liability coverage goes into effect. Speaking as someone that owned a construction company that damaged a couple things over the years.
So would that be the county's general liability, or would
The
that be the
developer will
construction?
have a general liability policy.
But I'd have to probably prove that it was because of the construction, or I don't know how I would, but
That if a construction operation damages private property, whoever's driving the piling or whatever it is they're doing, they're responsible.
There's one behind you first. She's thrown that up about 5 times here.
Cindy Newberry. So this is just another case of the unknown. There's so many unknowns, we really don't know. So if it's an unknown and it's a possibility and it's really no big deal because you say it won't happen, what does it hurt to put it in the ordinance?
It is in the ordinance.
You think that's gonna cover everything? And then what it's gonna cost him to prove? Are they gonna cover that too? Cause we have to prove everything, they have to prove nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm Ron Helling and I'm on the Conservation Board also, and just as a general observation from my perspective, we talked about the timing of our recommendations to you guys, but as I've sat through and looked at the changes made in the ordinance when it comes to the Conservation Board, I just don't think it would have mattered when we made those recommendations to you. I don't think the outcome would be any different than it is now.
And that's what I'd like to say again, AES should not be writing this ordinance for the people of Des Moines County. And it just seems like the people of Des Moines County are not being heard. I mean, you mentioned that, you wish that people would show up that are for this. Where are they? Are they really out there? I mean, other than the ones that are getting paid to put these on the ground?
I can't answer that.
Yeah. I just
can't answer that. A lot of this stuff in this ordinance, I will say, and I want to thank the people that have been here. We've added a lot of stuff to this ordinance. We had it done in 2023, and we started in July to update it. We worked hard on it. We took a lot of information from the people sitting out here, and we've added to it. Some of the things they don't like about it, but I'm sorry, we're just trying to do the best we can, and that's what it is.
And I appreciate that, but I just don't see these setbacks from property lines. Does that mean they're not gonna come in and build because you add a few more 100 feet to protect the people of Des Moines County's property rights?
Anybody else have anything to say? With an eye, we're out of here.
Aye.
Aye. We're gonna take a few minutes. Okay, we're here for a work session. The draft on the wind solar battery ordinance with regional planning. We'll turn this over to Zach and Jared.
I think our plan here is to go through there's a small number of changes since the previous work session last week. Some that were discussed at the work session and a couple others that were discovered based on feedback and just in reviewing for those other changes. So I'm just going to go through those individually, and I'll identify the page number and citation in each case since it's spread throughout the document. So the first one, it's actually relates. This is a theme here. There's several like this, but it's on page 7, Article 3, Section B. And in this case, they're all in red, all the individual changes. So the issue here, there's several times like this, but in reviewing for the sake of consistency, there were several instances where it referred to a non-participating landowner. And if you look in Article 2, the definitions, there's specifically a definition for the term participating property and non-participating property. So when referring to the owner of either of those types of properties, to be consistent, it would need to refer to the word property as opposed to land. And so it would, either one would fit, but just to ensure that there's consistency there in the definition, there were several instances where non-participating landowner was changed to non-participating property owner. So I believe the other change in that same section is the same thing on page 11, under the agricultural aviation section, and then also waivers. 2 more instances where it referred to a landowner, where it's been changed specifically to property owner. For the most part, the first half of these are pretty much all the same. So the next page, page 12, that's the same item there under section B. I believe so now we're in the solar, so it's going to be the same as it was for wind. So change from landowner to property owner. Next one, on page 14, there was a typo on number 6. This section is obviously about solar, but the acronym it listed was C-West, which applies to wind and not to solar, so that has been corrected to refer to an S for solar. This next one here, it's kind of similar to what we discussed earlier, but a little bit more broad. So section E, screening. This was initially intended to refer to specifically a non-participating property, whereas but that wasn't specifically stated, and so that's in this case that statement in section E was added where it says on a non-participating property. So the same would not apply to a participating property because of the contractual agreement they have with the developer. So
For screening?
yes, for page 14. Originally, it didn't specify that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, next couple here, going back to that first change, that's several times here. So on page 16 at the bottom, under waivers, section L, change from landowner to property owner. And then now we've got the final section for the initial regulatory requirements, this time for battery. On page 17, it's basically the same in all 3 of these sections, changing landowner to property owner, because that subsection 1B had been added later, and it just didn't use the consistent terminology. And then one more in that section, I believe there may be one more later in the ordinance, but for the most part, that's it for this particular type of change. At the bottom of page 21 under waivers, it's the same thing, changing landowner to property owner. Okay, so now we move on to page 22. Under preliminary review, This was a change that had been discussed last week. The purpose statement originally referred to that it would provide an opportunity for the county developer and other local stakeholders to obtain a mutual understanding of the overall scope and.
I don't think have you got any small changes to that article? Because that's the article we were gonna, discuss today. What we had, there was some, wondered whether we should have a preliminary permit or not.
Okay.
And I think you guys got a letter from an attorney in the last couple, or an email from an attorney last couple of days that, said that the concern is a two-step permit process could, give, that would be ammunition a developer could use if you'd gone through a preliminary permit, that you would have to approve the final permit. It wouldn't make any difference. There's nothing you could do about it. So anyway, I got some thoughts from Trent and took some of them. But with that in mind, I added some verbiage to both Article 6 siting permit preliminary review and Article 7 final review. On Article 6, in Section G, Paragraph 3, Subparagraph D, granting consent to proceed shall not ensure final approval of the siting permit. Final approval of the siting permit may be denied by the Board of Supervisors if the final design does not conform with the minimum requirements of this ordinance, or any additional condition imposed under the authority of Section G3, subparagraph B of this article. And then subparagraph E, final approval of the siting permit may also be denied if material or substantial changes are made in the preliminary project design that was granted the consent to proceed prior to the final review. And then add those paragraphs adapted for the to Article 7 for the final review that
Tom, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Instead of material, we should really say any.
What?
Instead of material change, we should really say any change.
Well, and that's what we've gone through a little bit because we weren't specific enough if there was going to be any. Jared, you remember any modification of the turbine, whether it would have to be taken down or whatever it was, and like the lawyer said, he said, what kind? He said, changing a bolt or screw.
Mm-hmm.
So any, I think material and substantial.
Well, those both hurt the county. I mean, all they do is hurt the county. That's all that does, Tom. That's all I have to say. It should be any.
I mean, it does say may too, so it's not shall, it's or is given that authority. And the
Okay,
intent.
if we've got may there, stick in any instead of material or substantial.
And ultimately, the issue would be if those changes are found not to comply with the minimum standards. So, but that statement would still apply regardless.
Yeah, and we might want some changes because if we add additional requirements or
ultimately,
additional
the county has to review those plans if something has been changed. That they have to review and ensure that it complies. So they can't just change it at the last minute.
That put any in there. That's fine.
Do you want me to resume with the red line changes, or
let's go through and get the siting permit done here. And the concern is that the county would get sued, and it doesn't matter if whether there's a preliminary review or not, if a developer finalizes a plan that's compliant with our ordinance and their permit is denied, they're gonna sue. So that's not gonna stop that at all. The preliminary review gives us the ability to provide meaningful input. And we'll have leverage. If they want a siting permit, they need us to grant them consent to proceed. And we don't grant consent to proceed until we've gone through that. And if we have to add additional conditions, and if we're gonna add additional conditions, the board has to do that.
No,
That would
we
be
do
one of
not.
the board.
Tom, I sent you the proposed changes.
You're just
And
drawing
I-
lines to the existing.
Right, taking out the consent to proceed, I mean,
Then we do, if they don't need that, then a preliminary review is just a hoop to jump through.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything.
what the preliminary review does is it allows a proposed developer to have, because it coincides with the public meeting, and it provides the initial information to the board. And so then after that, we keep the ability to vote to put in special considerations based on the proposal, but it's a chance for them to give the initial proposal. It's really them starting the conversation, is with both the public and the board. So it does have some utility. I mean, there's utility in that. And then if you adopt the changes, that gives you an opportunity to make special requests based on
If
that.
we adopt the changes, who does that?
Say again?
Who's gonna adopt the changes?
If you guys decide, or a future board 50 years from now decides that they need to have some changes to a preliminary plan based on that, that's why that's in there.
Who decides? The board isn't gonna vote on anything. Who says you need to change that? We need to do this, this, and that.
They could, and that's that section where it says they may vote to put in special considerations, or special conditions, that allows for that. But that doesn't require a vote to proceed, or a conditional permit, or what, it's all the same thing. That, they're two different things.
We've inserted language that plainly states that granting a consent to proceed shall not ensure final approval. And we put in there why you wouldn't get final approval. If you haven't complied with the additional conditions, or you haven't complied with the ordinance. I mean, this is, we have a lever at preliminary before they get too far. If you wait till the whole thing's finalized and they've spent $100 million or something like that, you aren't gonna have near as much leverage to say, we want this changed, or we need this. They're gonna go, we've already finalized it.
Right, and that's why we have that is it G, and I don't have my paper in front of me here. But that's why we have that one in there that allows for the board to vote. It says the board may vote for special conditions. And
where is that?
This approach?
Yeah.
Well, I think the idea is the board voting on something.
It's on the top of
or-
page 27, I believe.
We couldn't vote on anything until we got our public reading.
You want?
What? No, go ahead. It's well, I don't think that's not the ordinance. I've got it here on my, Jim's got it.
Well, do you have the one that I
Paper
sent
copy.
you?
Oh, you sent me, Trent, was a screenshot of that, and you ran some pencil lines through it.
Right. But do you have that
So,
one?
it would be on my computer someplace, just a second. So 27, G,
Right on the top.
Hey, Trent, do you want that? That's not what you changed last week.
So,
okay, 3, following the conclusion of the public hearing, the board shall vote on whether to grant the developer consent to proceed with final view of the siting permit. Subparagraph A, the board may request additional information to be submitted by the developer before granting consent to proceed. If it is deemed necessary to confirm compliance with all applicable requirements of this ordinance or adequately inform the general public and the individual property owners of the impact of the project. So paragraph B, the board may impose additional conditions on the proposed development, which the developer must comply with in order for the siting permit to be approved. Such conditions shall be limited to anything deemed necessary to protect the public health, safety, and community welfare. Such conditions shall be agreed to in writing by the developer before the board's consent to proceed. So you just want to remove consent to proceed, which is our leverage?
it's, the consent to proceed is not the leverage, Tom.
The consent to proceed is the leverage. It says right here, we're gonna do that so that they know that they have to do this. What are you gonna do? Just hand them some suggestions?
So, no, so, but if you look at 27, top of 27B, the provision that was kept is the board may impose additional conditions on the proposed development, which the developer must comply with in order for a siting permit to approve. So that's the section where you're talking about having
Hold on,
the
let me find
ability
that,
to.
whatever it was you sent me. Okay, what you've got here is if you go to G3, that's on page 26.
Yep.
G3, instead of following the conclusion of the public hearing, the board shall vote on whether to grant the developer consent to proceed with final review of the siting permit. So after you finished it, just follow the conclusion of the public hearing.
Mhm.
Then instead of the board may request additional information to be submitted by the developer before granting consent to proceed. If it is deemed necessary to confirm compliance with all applicable requirements of this ordinance or adequately inform the general public and individual property owners of the impact of the project. So that's all crossed out, except the board may request additional information to be submitted by the developer.
Correct. Yeah.
So then if you go to the next page, subparagraph B, the board may impose additional conditions on the proposed development which the developer must comply with in order for the siting permit to be approved. Such conditions shall be limited to anything deemed necessary to protect the public health, safety, and community welfare. Such conditions shall be agreed to in writing by the developer before the board's consent to proceed. Quick question on that one. It says the board may impose, the board may impose additional conditions on the proposed development which the developer must comply with in order for the siting permit to be approved, right?
Correct.
How does the board impose those additional conditions if we don't vote on it?
You vote on.
Tracy's gonna wanna see us vote.
That's what I'm saying, is, yeah, you vote on that, that's how you would impose those additional conditions.
So we're imposing additional conditions, but we're not giving them consent to proceed?
You don't need to give them consent to proceed, they can proceed, they can stop, that's their option. But you give them
In other words, they can
conditional-
imply consent to proceed?
You're not stopping them from doing anything, so by not giving them a consent to, I mean, you don't have to give them a consent to proceed, it's their choice to proceed, it's their choice to not proceed, it's up to them. You see, I mean, a vote for a consent to proceed based on a preliminary review, just this initial phase.
So we say, we impose some additional conditions on the off chance, if you decide to proceed, you can do, we want this too, then walk away.
They may walk away, they may not, I mean.
Well, I'm just, they might walk away and build it.
Well, they eventually have to file for the permit.
I owned a business for some time. That's not gonna work for anybody. You can't say, well, you go ahead and you invest in it, then we'll tell you if we like it. When we have an opportunity to actually have some input where we can find out, granted, the board would have to do their due diligence because it's gonna require, they need to be just as diligent in going through that preliminary review as they do the final. But that is the most optimum time. You have to go through that and you have to make you communicate and say, we can't have this, we don't like this, this needs to be better, this looks good.
Yeah, I mean, it's, everything you're saying is right,
and everything we say is non-binding.
Does not require a vote for a consent to proceed, or for a, for a preliminary permit, or for a, COP, or, I mean, it's all the same thing. You can go ahead and you can have them brief you initially. Hey, this is what we're looking at, this is a concept, and, I mean,
We're creating
this is
a review of, we're creating a review of a preliminary permit review for just, that would advise us or say, here's sort of what we're looking at. We go, because that's what you're saying. That's a hoop to jump through.
Well, it is.
These guys aren't paying attention.
It is a hoop to jump through, but there will be benefit to everybody involved. But if we vote and we adopt this language, then we're voting on the concept. And if they make changes that the board does not agree with, I mean, we're opening ourselves up for liability, and could there be liability otherwise? Possibly.
We've added the paragraphs in both those reviews that granting consent to proceed shall not ensure final approval of a siting permit. Final approval of the siting permit may be denied by the Board of Supervisors if the final design does not conform with the minimum requirements of this ordinance or any additional conditions imposed under the authority of section G3B of this article. Final approval of the siting permit may also be denied if any changes are made in the preliminary project design which grant a consent to proceed prior to the final review. So you just want to just go on and everybody just take their chances in court when the judge asks you, this is all you did, is you got some information. You didn't actually go out and review and deliberate on this, on the information, what you got, whether it was adequate, whether you wanted something else. What you're describing does not strike me as any sort of a requirement with any teeth or confidence that it would instill in anybody. So we're just going to go ahead and see what comes up. This is maybe I'm looking at it wrong. This looks like an opportunity to me, to the board, and to the county, when they actually have some leverage on that developer. Because if it's just a coin toss on a lawsuit, heads you win, tails you win, who knows? we lose.
Failed this.
I get what you're saying. That's I think you wanna be in on this when they start designing this and say, what do you got?
Right.
This is gonna work, but, we are not gonna give you consent to proceed. We're not gonna say we like anything. We might vote and say, we want you to do this, and that.
Right. I mean, we don't wanna, I mean, it's up to you guys, but if you guys vote on a concept, especially with all this language limiting approval of a final, and it comes to the end, now they have a vested property right. All this talk about property rights, if they don't have a vested property right, they don't get through the door. That's a threshold issue.
No, not arguing that, but if you get through that door and the judge says, you saw this ordinance before you started, and this ordinance said, granted, that first approval or the final approval of the citing permit may be denied by the Board of Supervisors for this, and this.
That's good language.
Well, that's what I'm
that
saying.
helps,
So the board
yes.
says, but that doesn't mean anything because we're gonna say you have property rights, so you ignored the contract language.
What contract?
The ordinance, if you agree to build it, they agree to build that development or that, under the auspices or the guidance of this ordinance. I'm guessing if they show up and they tell the judge, well, we didn't like that ordinance, so we built it differently. I don't know. I think you're just twisting this enough or whatever, and you're seeing that, granting a property right, the rules that you're working on are plainly stated here, at least to me.
So, to the extent that the law is settled, which clearly we've talked, it's not right now, tomorrow or the next day, the Supreme Court's, having a hearing or having oral arguments on this very topic. But as it stands right now, if a permit is required and they do not have a permit, then they do not have a vested property right. So that threshold issue is not met. So the earlier we have a vote, whether it's we call it a vote to proceed, a conditional use permit, a preliminary permit, it's all the same, functionally it's all the same thing. That then vests that. So as a threshold matter, that gets them through the door to the courtroom.
Understood, and it's a threshold matter, it gets you into the court, and then you have to defend why you ignored those plainly stated, requirements that, you don't get a final approval if you haven't done this or you've done that. It's plainly stated here. So yeah, you've got a threshold, they said, okay, maybe you've got standing, you get in there, and they say, but you didn't follow the rules in this ordinance.
So you're saying you as in if you were talking to a developer, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So if a developer gets a conditional use permit versus not having a conditional use permit, that clearly we know at this point in time that vests that a property right in that conditional use permit. So at that point, they get through the door, and then there's this rational basis test. Well, if there's a permit and we change an ordinance after that,
we aren't.
We're gonna end up having a balancing test.
Well, if you're gonna change it, that's gonna happen anyway. If you're gonna change it, you change it midstream. if you get consent to proceed, and that's interpreted as a property right,
Yes, yeah.
that's not the be-all, end-all. If you have violated the agreement,
If a developer violates the
if a
agreement,
developer violates the agreement, they say, well, we violated the agreement, but we still want to get reimbursed for our property rights. How's that go?
well, it's gonna end up in litigation, and then it's gonna be a very fact-specific question.
Not
At that point.
arguing that. I'm just saying, but that's what you're saying is if they decide that they don't have to do this stuff, and they go ahead and finish it up, well, if we've got a property right, it doesn't matter that we didn't follow the ordinance.
Yes, but I'm saying as a legal matter, it's much easier if we haven't voted for that consent to proceed.
What if you vote to add those additional considerations or additional requirements that you list in here? What if you do vote for that? Doesn't that vest their property rights?
No, not necessarily, no.
Well, it says that, you've got here, it said, the board may impose additional conditions on the proposed development, which the developer must comply with in order for the siding permit to be approved. Well, then we voted that those are the additional, you have to do these additional requirements, right? They're the parts you left in. So the board's voted. So that vested their property rights? That's what you're saying.
I mean, I'm not saying that vote, because all that's doing is that vote is specific to certain additional conditions. It doesn't say.
But the implication is that's what they need to do to get a final permit.
One may imply that.
One may imply that.
Yeah.
I guess, and I appreciate your advice, Trent.
Yeah.
What do you guys, I would like to leave the preliminary review there, except for adding the language of why that does not ensure final approval, and add the same language regarding final approval to Article 7, the final review.
You guys got my mind going like this. Two different ways.
No, and we could just wait until we get the opinion from the Supreme Court, and that'll really settle this.
That isn't the entirety of that Supreme Court decision. I read through part of those pleadings, and there's some other stuff going on, rather than just they got vested for a property right. There's a great deal of other side issues, as you agree.
Yeah.
So I don't anticipate us having any of those side issues. Anyway, that's where I'm at.
It's a two-step process.
Two-step process with added language, plainly stating that a consent to proceed does not ensure final approval of the siding permit.
Exactly. Then that way we've got the leverage to keep this on track of what they're going here.
And even if we change it to allow additional conditions, the board's gonna have a vote. Like I said, that may imply that they have permission.
Are we ready to move on to the other red line edits?
Let's see what Jim and Shane, if they've got any questions on which way they'd like to go on that.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
What?
I'll go with you.
Shane, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Okay, so this in the same section on preliminary, but backing up a little bit to page 25. Section E, application submitted, notice to property owners.
Hold on just a second, I'm flipping between windows. You're on page 25?
Yep. Section E, opening paragraph of number 1. So basically, it initially said that notification, upon the submission of a complete siting permit application, notification shall be provided to owners and occupants of all properties. And then it's more detail there, but basically there was no explanation of who is actually doing the notification. And so the intent was always that that would be the county providing that notification, and that the cost of that would be covered by the permit fee for the developer. And so has been modified to say that the administrator shall provide notification to those individuals. So that, okay. Next page, page 26. So number 4, this is F4. F starts on page 25, but number 4, it previously, this is talking about how once a siting permit has been submitted, the administrator would need to furnish copies of the application to representatives of county departments, assessor, auditor, conservation, emergency management, health, secondary roads, and E911. So the intent there is similar to other forms of development, like subdivision. This would just be a way of ensuring that everyone, that these different departments have an opportunity, if there are any relevant comments to provide regarding the proposed development. But initially, it did not specify how long that each of those departments would have to submit comments in response to. It was stated elsewhere in this section that the public hearing has to be done within 90 days of the submission of a permit application, but conceivably, if such comments are submitted at the last minute, that could open things up to there wasn't enough time to make an informed decision there. So now it's been restated so that those departments shall be instructed to submit any comments within 30 days. So that would give plenty of time for them to review it, and then also for staff and the board to respond to any comments that were submitted and make an informed decision accordingly. And then section 5, this is just to improve the flow of that section. It's stated that prior to the public hearing, as outlined in section G, the administrator shall submit a final report, and then it already states that needs to include any relevant comments that were submitted during the review process. So that just ensures that all of that time frame makes sense there. Let's see. Same page, we have another instance of the word landowner being used for non-participating. It's actually several times in section 2 and 2A, again, for the sake of consistency with the definitions of non-participating property, it's been changed to say property owner as opposed to landowner. And then in the same section, section G, we move on to number 4 on page 27. So these 4 through 6, the order and indents have been modified there, again, to improve the flow of how this process is described here. So basically, section 3 describes the vote itself, and then we've already discussed those additional statements that the board would like to include in that section 3. But then the remaining remaining three sections, which are number 4, 5, and 6, are just stipulations that relate to how, once that decision has been made. So the first one would be granting consent to proceed authorizes the developer to initiate final review. Number 5 is if the board decides not to grant consent to proceed, it shall state the reasons for doing so and provide the developer with a statement. And then number 6 is the final one, which would be notification of the board's decision shall be mailed to owners and occupants. And so that just makes it clearer what that process is looking like there.
And they're under G, that's where we would add the language,
G3, yes,
G3, yeah,
applying to the.
that we've gone through, okay.
And then the last one in this section, page 27, under section H, this was a mistake here that we had previously changed it so that because previously the developer was required to submit a siting permit within 2 years. That was tightened up to 1 year in the opening paragraph, but sections B and C were not modified accordingly, so that's just ensuring that those were changed from 2 to 1 as well. So we'll move on then to Article 7, the final review. Just a minor wording change here in section 8 on page 29, where it talks about the operations and maintenance plan. And section E references the safety manuals for operations and maintenance personnel and manufacturer of the system. It previously said that with full details regarding the procedures to be followed in the event of a fire, explosion, or severe weather on the premises. So just to make that clear, that's an obligation there. It now says, which shall include any and all details regarding those procedures. So it identifies what the reason we're asking for that document is for those specific details. And then on page 30, section 10, talking about the wildlife monitoring and mitigation plan. This was another issue where it was not modified in accordance with other changes that were made, this time in the Article 11. Because it previously had a caveat at the end of the statement here where the plan was required and it said which shall be reviewed by the County Conservation Board before its submittal to the Board of Supervisors. So it's already stipulated in that section that the board will receive the plan and then submit the copy of that to the Conservation Board for review. So because that's slightly different here and there's no reason to restate it twice, this is modified just so it says that the wildlife monitoring plan is required, and then it refers to that other section where all those stipulations are outlined. And then we move forward to page 32. This one is identical to the preliminary section where it previously said that upon submission of a complete application, that notification shall be provided to owners and occupants of properties within a mile. Now it says the administrator shall provide, so it's clear that that's the county obligation to provide that notification. And then we move on to that same page, H4, this is the application review section. Upon submission of a complete siting permit application, so this is another one that's exactly the same as the previous section where those other departments are given 30 days to respond to ensure that there's plenty of time to assess any of those comments as it relates to the development prior to the public hearing. And then the number 5, the change there is similar where it says that the administrator shall submit a final report to the board prior to the public hearing, just so that it relates to that following section, section I. And then on page 33.
Go for it, go ahead. 33, that's section I.
Yep.
1 and 2, and it says 2 is following the conclusion of the public hearing, the board shall vote on whether to approve or deny the siting permit. A is the board may request additional information. B, the board may attach additional conditions, blah, blah. Anyway, I think that's where C and D, we should have those 2 descriptions of why a permit would be denied
Right.
for final approval.
Makes sense.
Okay. Those are the same reasons we talked about in preliminary.
Got your thoughts about it.
And then also number 4 was added again for the sake of consistency there. If the board were to deny, it was not specified like it was with preliminary, but it would apply here too, that if they were found to not comply with the ordinance or the conditions, then they would have to provide that in writing and explain why that decision was made. And then the last change in this section is on page 34, at the bottom, number 2. It previously said that a siting permit may be revoked by the board if it is determined that the development has been constructed in a manner that is not consistent with what had been presented to the board before the approval of the permit due to changes to design and location of structures and equipment. Again, that based on our discussion last week, that was modified so it just says not consistent with the approved.
Let me ask Trent, is not consistent or does not conform? The more restrictive language, I think, does not conform. It's more restrictive than is not consistent. What did you say?
I mean, either one is fine. It does not conform, so that way you're not using passive voice, it's cleaner. But
It's pretty much doesn't. I don't know. I know it's meant to conform with if it said you anything like that, if it said you shall conform with something like that, they meant it. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine either way. There's synonyms. I mean, I think we take it out of passive voice, but that's just my 20 years of military writing style. That's what I would do. But it's either one's the same.
I like does not conform.
I like conform better than.
Okay.
I really do. I've had people use that on me all my life. You did not conform to this.
One of them have a ruler in their hand. Yardstick.
12 of them. And my boss, the last place where I worked for 20-some years, that was Rick's favorite thing. You did not conform to this.
Okay. Go ahead, Jared.
We just have one pair of changes left, and that we move ahead quite a ways to page 49. It's pretty minor, but so it's section D, response to damaged property. This is the section on emergency response. This first one was just a minor terminology thing where it referred to so the full statement was in any instance where an emergency event results in damage to components of the system, the owner or operator shall be responsible for costs associated with repair, decommissioning, etc., as well as the restoration of any and all non-participating property with damage. It was singular, but could conceivably refer to all property, plural that way, but just so it's 100% clear that it's referring to, if it includes multiple properties, that it would say properties. So that's all that was changed there. And then on the bottom of that page is the final instance, so number D3, where there was usage of the word non-participating landowner, where it was modified to specifically say property owner. So that, I believe, is all of the edits since our previous work session. So if anybody has any other suggestions or comments?
And I'll just throw this out there on page 50 on liability insurance. The owner operator, I'm not asking to change this, shall maintain all risk liability insurance for the system throughout its construction, operational lifespan, and decommissioning. Such coverage shall include at a minimum all of the following types of liability: general liability, property damage, bodily injury, environmental liability, and acts of God. In my experience, liability runs downhill. If my actions on a job site would have damaged something belonging to somebody else or somebody else's work, they would sue the general contractor, and the general contractor would sue me to reimburse himself. So if something's happened during the construction of this thing, there is insurance. That's all I've got.
Jared?
Yep, that's all I had.
Hey, I just want to, I'm still not comfortable with the 650. Nobody wants to budge on that? and the set, and a little, greater on the setback?
I don't.
Fine where we're at. We discussed that. We knocked it down from 750, which we were told was coming in, 650 to 750. We went with the lesser and I'm satisfied with it. We're using old data, so. Been working on this since July. That was established 2 months ago. I'm not gonna change it.
We good then?
We're out of here.
Okay.
We do have done a workstation with Rodney. You guys wanna move right into that?
All right, great. Thank you, everybody.
We'll
Thank
save me
you,
2
everybody.
minutes.
And tell that gentleman I'm sorry that he hadn't said
See you, Trent.
With, where are we? We're here with the work session with the maintenance department about public buildings. Roger.
Yeah, the main thing I really wanted to talk to you guys today about was the Cottonwood Complex. So I'm working on budget, trying to figure out budget for next year. And I know we kind of talked about it before, but I just kind of wanted to see if you
So I
guys
think
got
for my edification, there's a Cottonwood, they have the crisis center, that's closed.
Correct.
The, what's the one, the alcohol and drug?
River Cross.
River Cross, it's still there, right?
Correct. It's dual diagnosis, River Cross.
Okay, is there anything else that's gone? I realize that our community services team is gone.
Yep, community services team is gone. Then we have Optime Life Services on the west end of that community services building. Yep.
And they look like they're gonna be staying for the foreseeable future.
That was their plan, unless
Yeah.
something changes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess that was just the thing. I know we kind of talked about it before, but I just wanted to touch base with you guys, see where that's at. That way I kind of have a direction on what I need to work on for my budget for the next fiscal year.
Two of them buildings there, isn't there?
3 buildings total.
3 buildings total,
Yeah.
okay.
But we would be getting rid of it because the crisis center, that was a standalone building, right?
Crisis Center is standalone. River Cross Care Facility, it's standalone. And then the office.
The office and
Optime is one building together.
So 1.5 buildings are gonna be empty,
Yeah.
sort of.
Yeah.
Utilities on that, I'd hate to do the utilities for all of it. Is there any zoning on the heating where you can throw
Yeah,
in?
I mean, we can kind of do whatever. It's just, I just don't think it's ever a good idea to shut everything off and let
Well,
it sit.
not shut it completely off,
Yeah.
but you can turn it down to 55 degrees.
Yeah, we can turn things down. I just didn't know if you guys give much thought, if we have any kind of plan or kind of direction, or whether we just kind of stay status quo and.
If we're looking at the budget right now, I would figure that you're gonna be heating those buildings. If, like the crisis center, if we were gonna sell that, then we would sell that or rent it out, the same with the other one. Like you said, you can't very well abandon them, and we don't know what's gonna happen. I would like to talk about if we can get rid of that one building anyway, or find another use for it, so we don't have to insure it and pay utilities on it.
I agree with you 100% on that.
But for budgetary purposes, I would put money in there. Maybe you don't put as much in, like I said, because you can turn down the heat to whatever you think's adequate or safe, and won't be using as much water and some of that stuff. But I would go ahead and just leave those in your budget for now. If
the one building completely empty then?
Crisis Center is completely empty, yeah.
Completely empty.
But it does have a sprinkler system too, so.
You gotta keep that on there.
Yeah, we definitely
You gotta keep enough
some
heat
heat
in
and
there.
stuff in there, yeah.
So you have to leave, you can't shut the water off then. Nope.
No, I would hate to do that.
and the rest of the Cottonwood facility, Optime said it wasn't big enough for them to locate there.
Yeah, when I'd talked to that gal last, they were looking at like 40 offices, I think, I believe. It's been a couple of months ago when I talked to them. It just wasn't big enough to move their whole office structure there, but they were looking at someplace, but that wouldn't be big enough. So, yeah, I don't know if we were looking at, leasing that part of the office building out, or a crisis again, or doing something different.
Be nice
Yeah.
to get some revenue rather than just expenses.
Yeah. So I guess that's why I kind of brought it up, so see where you guys are at, see kind of what your maybe vision is, so we can kind of start working towards that, and figure out my budget as well. So.
Just out of curiosity, what's the county's obligation for DHHS and that?
Oh, human services?
Yeah.
Out there. We have to, provide them with, office space and office equipment. Then we get reimbursed. I think the difference, it ends up costing us in the neighborhood of $100,000, maybe a little over that. And the expenses are more than that, but we're reimbursed by the state. And of course, like all reimbursements by the state, you don't know what it's gonna be. So it shows up. But, so yeah, but that's, well, when it was over at, it used to be, what it is, it's that church now, Harmony Church, you know, before that, when they had all the offices upstairs, I think at one time they had like 40 employees. And then they, after, I don't know, or maybe it was COVID that they, all of them went home, and so then after that, they'd only have single digits that would show up, but the state needed them, so that's when we moved them.
They wanted us out of there because they was using the elevator for bathroom.
Yeah,
Some of the residents that they had.
I never gotten on an elevator like that. It was nasty. It was unpleasant to ride.
Kind of like crawling in a dog pen out there to the kennel. They keep that cleaner than what that elevator was.
But so yeah, the Harmony wanted us out of there, understandably. But that's a state requirement. And how that works, I don't know, except we've done that for a long time. But yeah, I don't know what
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The building that is being occupied, half of it, and is there any way that building is zoned, is there zoning in that, in the heating and air conditioning part?
It's separate, yeah, so like where Optime at, it's separate. There's a duct that goes to a conference room that's off of that unit, but the rest of the offices are all
So in other words,
separate.
you can turn the stuff down in that one there and.
Yeah, we've got the office stuff down and we've got crisis down. There is a garage out there too, I keep neglecting that. There's a
Well, yeah,
two-car
keep
garage
something
in
in that
between the
garage.
cure facility and the crisis, and we utilize that, yeah.
Do we soliciting the businesses to rent out?
I don't know, I haven't done anything. That's kind of why we're here. I mean, is that something we wanna look into doing? Is,
I mean, any way to recoup costs?
either putting an RFP or something out there for leasing those spaces out, or what we're gonna do with them.
I would think that it would be pretty,
Reach out to, people who want Fun City out, right close there. Selling that one building that we got there that's empty, and they can move all their offices over there and have them off premises.
yeah, the deal they'll have out there is they've got a pretty fragile population. Would you agree with that, Krista? That at the river cross and the clients at Optime.
Yes.
So I don't think anybody would want to move their office out there.
Yeah.
It would probably need to be somebody in that field or business.
Yeah, I mean, they're all separate buildings, but they are pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of all, they're separate, but they're kind of all tied together. They're pretty close. I mean, I guess I don't really need a definite answer today, just some directions for me for budget purposes, and then we can revisit this maybe after budget hearings and stuff, and, you know, kind of really get a plan nailed down or something figured out later on, but just kind of wanted the idea of
I would include that in your budget.
what I need to put down for
You might have
revenue
enough,
expenses.
you might have enough fund balance in the rent you've been getting for those to cover the utilities for a year or two, I don't know.
I will do that. That's all I had.
Come on, we want more.
You want more?
I'll give you a more briefly. I sent something to Rodney this morning. Becky's in the process of putting a draft
bid document together for the sheriff's parking lot. We're still looking at a January bid. So I'm gonna send that to Rodney, and once we have a rough draft, and Kevin wants to see it, he's welcome to see it too. I didn't think he'd probably care, but,
Well, I've heard that his command staff is gonna do the concrete finishing.
oh, perfect.
They've been good enough for our own concrete, I don't know about that.
Just slightly larger than a dog pen. But,
Brad know that yet?
Well, we get a 30 by 40 shed.
okay, well, fair enough. I don't wanna sell them short.
If you put enough stuff over the top of it, you don't even notice the imperfections.
So I will send a draft out to the board for you guys to look at also, at some point. So as long as we get that thing mailed out of here sometime between now and Christmas or something, we got some time. But if you see it come along, that's what's happening. You can look at it or you don't have to look at it. It'll already been looked at in a lot of angles. But we're kind of overlapping what we already did or plagiarizing what we did on the parking lots here at the courthouse. So just a heads up. We're getting close to that. I'm assuming that we're good to go. Like, I don't need to bring this to the board to go ahead and for Rodney to be able to post it and for us that we'll mail out bid packages like we do on road projects. We'll do a bid opening. We're planning on a bid opening down here at the courthouse. Are you guys good with us proceeding?
I am.
Okay. I assume so, but it's not my project, so I didn't want to just make that assumption. So, all right, thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
All right. We're all done.